Hello. Needed a break from murder this week. This week we're going to do a kind of part 2 of odd divorce cases. Divorce, also not pretty, but unfortunately for those involved, sometimes they get a little weird. And that's what we're here for. Arizona State Miner published a snippet in March 1925 of a woman in Cincinnati who has started a divorce case against her hubby. Why? Because he forces her to shave him 3 times a week. I have questions, which will not get answered, but why can't he shave himself? And is it his back too? Because heck fire, no. From the Butte Intermountain, published this November 1901. It's a bit long because most of it is a quote from a lawyer in Chicago who is a bit chatty, but let's see what he has to say about beautiful Butte, Montana, and its venture into quickie divorces. Quote, "If there is any one thing that is more impressive than another, to the stranger in Butte it is the extent to which the furnished while you wait spirit is carried here. I see advertisements in the papers here announcing that divorces will be quickly obtained if any one desiring freedom from the bonds of matrimony will make his or her troubles known to an individual who pays rent for a certain post office box." Now, that is what I call enterprise. There is nothing about it that has a suggestion of slow motion in it. Every word of the statement denotes go and energy. Take myself, for instance. Suppose I wanted to be uncoupled from the marital harness and had a conscience sufficiently elastic to allow me to swear that I had been a resident of Montana for 1 year. All I would have to do would be to drop a postal card to the man who runs the divorce factory, according to his prospectus, then go around and hand him his price. That, I presume, would about let me out on the part I would have to take in the transaction. All I would have to do would be to wait patiently while my decree was obtained quickly. It might be possible that I would be required by this advertising genius to go into court and tell a few things about my reasons for wanting a divorce, but that would probably be only an incident in the proceedings in which, it would seem, speed is the main object. End quote. Now, he gets into boring rules about how Montana laws must be pretty liberal to allow a man to advertise such services. Then he talks about Illinois laws, which are more stringent about such things. Basically, anyone who advertises services with intent to procure or aid in procuring a divorce, either in Illinois or anywhere else, will be fined no less than $100 and no more than $1,000 for each offense, or be imprisoned no less than 3 months and no more than 1 year. Daily Ardmorite, February 1909, printed this story out of Chicago about some advice that a judge gave to a divorcing couple. Judge Honore, I'm sure with good intentions, but what the hell, told the couple that they needed to live in one house, but separated by partitions. Apparently, the judge, architecture as his side hustle, devised such a floor plan where the two could live in the same domicile but never see each other. Do what now, you ask? Fair question, gentle listener/viewer. The missus introduced the divorce case against her husband, charged inability and ill treatment. Judge said that the wife and their 3 children must be given a place to live. I guess in lieu of being unable to secure their own place to live, but absolutely refusing to even see the husband by accident, so came about the decision to live in the same place, but separated. The missus still has to cook her husband's meals, but will send them through some sort of trap door. The husband, in turn, would have to help support the family. I wonder how long that arrangement lasted. East Oregonian, December 1911, has this story out of L.A. You may want to take a pen to paper to draw yourself a map. So, according to the newspaper, a case on file in Superior Court, quote, showed how a woman might be the wife of either of 2 men, or the wife of neither, or the wife of both at the same time, and therefore technically single or a bigamist simultaneously. End quote. Feel free to press pause to go find you some Anacin. You ready? Okay. Mrs. McQueeston wanted a divorce from two men, one Mr. McQueeston and one Mr. Pascal. Additionally, she wanted her marriage to Mr. McQueeston annulled. Whatever this is, hot mess, if you will, has been going on for over 20 years. Apparently, the woman married Mr. Pascal first. She got a divorce from him less than a year later, but because she had lived in a state other than the one in which she had been married, that nullified her divorce action. What? Yeah. So there was no actual divorce, and she's none the wiser. So technically, she's still Mrs. Pascal, but she didn't know that. But thinking she was as free as a bird now, she then went on to marry Mr. McQueeston, who she then later divorced. Or so she thought. You okay? All right. Well, Mr. McQueeston somehow had that divorce decree set aside. So yes, again, no actual divorce. When the woman realized that neither of her divorces had taken root, she started what we'll say are her present divorce suits. What happened? Don't know. Hopefully for all parties, they just wiped the slate clean. Elbert County Tribune, November 1912, has a short and sweet one about a lady who was granted a divorce from her husband because he made her stay home and press his fancy vests while he went out to the theater. Good on you, Mrs. Smith. Well deserved. How dare you not take me to the opera, sir? Monroe City Democrat, May 1899. The same paper that gave us some petite zingers during my part 1 of Odd Divorces has some more for us today. A Kansas wife recently secured a divorce from her husband because, as solemnly set forth in her petition, the defendant pinched the nose of this plaintiff, causing it to become very red, thereby causing the plaintiff great pain and anguish of mind. I think that would warrant a pinch back with some pliers. An Ohio man has secured a divorce because, as he declared under oath, the defendant pulled this plaintiff out of bed by his whiskers. Ouch. Yeah, fair. A Jersey wife secured a decision because the defendant, the husband, sleeps with a razor under his pillow to frighten this plaintiff. If he was threatening her with it, yeah, she needed to get out of there. That is a little too close for comfort. Evening Star, December 1950. Much more recent than some of the previous stories, we have another round of short snippets. May a wife refuse to go out with her husband because he is too fat? No, because she married him for fatter or for thinner, said the Pennsylvania Superior Court. When a poor girl marries a rich man, is he required to spend his money freely on her? No, he is entitled to continue the same habits of thrift which enabled him to accumulate the wealth that attracted her to him as a bachelor, said the Missouri Court of Appeals. Should a wife who is left home at night be blamed for dancing with other men? No, because if her husband didn't leave her alone, she wouldn't have a chance to dance with other men, reasoned the Kentucky Court of Appeals. May a man leave his wife because she can't cook as well as she said she could? No, because judges' wives don't cook so well either, revealed the Pennsylvania Superior Court. Ouch, nameless judge. Good thing they didn't print your name here. LOL. What should a husband do with a wife who spends too much money? Give her less money to spend, suggested the Superior Court of Pennsylvania. Is a wife entitled to criticize everything her husband does? No, because he married a sweetheart, not a coach, ruled the Kentucky Court of Appeals. Must a convalescing husband fire his pretty nurse after he gets well? Yes, because he promised his wife at the altar to let her minister to him in sickness and in health, said the California District Court of Appeal. May a wife ask her husband's boss to stop her husband from flirting with other women? Yes, it is for a cause good for all of them, said the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. Another divorce tale from the Evening Star, December 1925. You remember when you needed to get some of the fire out of your head, you would count to 10 and breathe in and out or whatever? Back in these days, they counted to 100. Granted, they didn't have the hustle and bustle that we seem to have these days, coupled with a lack of patience. Anywho, Chief Justice McCoy had a divorce petition brought up before him by a wife against her husband. He dismissed it, stating to the wife, quote, "If you feel like quarreling, go into a room and count 100, as we used to do when we were children. People do not seem to do that anymore, judging from the cases that come before me. Do this and cut out your jealousy." End quote. Then the Chief Justice addressed the husband, quote, "You cut out your liquor, but if you must drink, do so at home." End quote. As one of the couple, not sure which, belonged to a Catholic church, the Chief Justice suggested that perhaps these issues were better laid before a priest instead of the court. New York Tribune, June 1909, had a story out of Media, Pennsylvania, about a woman who has filed for divorce from her husband on the grounds of cruel and abusive treatments. Sounds horrific, yes. Well, in this case, it was that he whistled, sang, and danced at the foot of her bed while she tried to sleep, and or would sometimes sing and whistle as he lay beside her, all to purposely irritate and annoy her. As someone who sleeps very poorly already, I would have thrown him in prison. Waxahachie Daily Light from July 1910 has a story out of San Antonio. Bexar County courts have a troubling question on their hands. Quote, "Can a person committed to a lunatic asylum be sued on a charge of abandonment and desertion?" End quote. One Mr. Daniels brought forth a divorce suit against his wife, who happens to be a patient at the Southwestern Insane Asylum. Granted, yes, she did abandon and desert him, but against her will, I would say. I will note that there is no information regarding her asylum status, meaning did she have herself institutionalized or was she ordered to go? Regardless, the courts doubt that the detention of the woman into an asylum can be considered abandonment and desertion. But they do recognize that this is the only charge that the husband could have put forth to get a divorce, as there is no mention in Texas law at this time of a similar situation. Richmond Palladium and Sun Telegram from November 1910 brings us this story out of New York. Colonel Stokes, commander of a regiment from the National Guard, requested and got an annulment of his marriage to one Mrs. Hitchings. Yes, Mrs. Hitchings. Mrs. Hitchings actively married to a Mr. Hitchings. Intrigued? Well, simply put, all believed that Mr. Hitchings had parted from this earth, aka died, and so the colonel married what was thought to be a widow some 5 years ago. They've been living the good life as man and wife in their lovely home in St. Mark's Square. But then, about 2 years ago, the colonel was left gobsmacked when he found out from a friend that Mr. Hitchings was alive and well and living in sunny Los Angeles. When he asked his wife, "Hey, hun, what gives?" or something like that, she declared innocence, saying that Mr. Hitchings had gone to Alaska and died there. The colonel, sensing there was something rotten in the state of Denmark, started an investigation. His wife would have had ample opportunity and means to look into the whereabouts of her husband and not just make assumptions. The colonel's brother is a lawyer, actually. She could have sought out his help. The colonel started a divorce proceeding on the grounds that his wife was already married. But hey-ho, the court refused to grant his application because he continued to live with Wifey Pooh for 2 years after he learned of the truth. But wait, aren't they then forcing the wife to be a bigamist? Anyway, this lack of action was appealed. The Court of Appeals reversed the judgment about refusing the application and have now ordered a new trial. Yikes. Let's end on a lighter note, shall we? From the Free Trader Journal, June 1919, story out of Carlinville, Illinois. An older couple, ages unknown, arrived in the circuit court, telling the court clerk they wanted a divorce. When asked what the issues were, they answered, "Nothing. We just don't get along." End quote. The court wasn't having it. Quote, but you have got to have some cause. Does your husband beat you? Or does your wife beat you? End quote. The pair would answer, quote, there's nothing like that. We just want a divorce, that's all. Our children's all gone now, and there's no use us trying to get along anymore. End quote. The confused court clerk would respond, quote, well, we can't give you a divorce without a reason, but I'll tell you what you can do. If your husband leaves you and is gone for 2 years, you can get divorced on the grounds of desertion. End quote. The lady would say, quote, good, John, you go away and leave me. End quote. John wasn't having it, though it took a minute for him to gather his thoughts. Quote, wait a minute. If I leave her, will I still have to pay her bills? End quote. Yes, said the court. The wife would say, quote, but John, listen, you go away. I'll be careful and skimp all I can. It won't cost much. End quote. But John, still not having it. Shaking his head, he and the missus left the court. And allegedly, they locked arms on the walk back and forgot about their divorce discussion. I can't say I fully believe that story, but I like it. So, what do you think? These cases, these reasons to end your marriage bliss, crazy, but also can't deny some of these are very good reasons. Hopefully, they all found their happiness in some form or fashion. Next episode, bringing you more interesting, odd events. Not quite ready to get back into death just yet, though. See you.